Hello everyone, this is Al Special. Welcome back to the Land of Empires. Today I'm trying out a new microphone. So I'm recording from my AirPods rather than my company microphone. So hope the quality will be up to par because I don't really want to use my other hand to hold on to the microphone that I've been using to record all my videos. It's just very inconvenient. So if this works, then in the future I'll probably just use the AirPods. So the topic of this video, I kind of want to revisit something I covered about over a year ago by now, and that is a comparison between healing your troops and overfilling your valor. Of course, when you overfill, a portion of those troops will die permanently. So this is, in other words, a comparison between healing versus training. And I want to revisit this topic because unlike about a year and a half ago, now we have much higher tier troops. But alongside higher tier troops, we also have much higher percent training speed. So as you know, T12 as well as T13, these research upgrades give you extra training speed. And T13 is actually the same as T12 in that they give you the same amount of training speed, which totals, I believe, 120%. Let's just verify that real quick. So you get 7 point, no, you get 2.4% times times 10. So this is 24%, and you get three of them plus the earlier tier 16%. So 24 plus 16, that is 40 times 3, that is 120%. So from T12 through tier 13, you get a total of 240% extra training speed, which is quite a big deal, to be honest. If we were to take a look at my current troop training speed, it has, let me try to find it. It is sitting at 495. And let's see if I can boost that with my talent skill. Once again, if you are VIP 12, I definitely recommend you use the talent tree whenever you are training and the economic tree whenever you are healing because it makes a huge difference in the percentage. So you can see my percentage went from 498 to 511. I guess it's not that big of a deal. But for healing, definitely, it's like twice the speed. But anyways, if we subtract this number by like 240%, you can see how much tier 12 and tier 13 are helping my training speed. So the purpose of this video is to revisit healing your troops and compare that to training troops that were permanently lost due to Valor overfill. Now, before I get into the calculations, which I'll kind of do as I go along this video, is that I want to clarify how the troop loss works. So whenever your hospital is full, additional troops will go directly to your Valor. When they go to your Valor, 7% of them will be are eligible for immediate collection. However, do not take that for granted. If you do not collect them and your troops clash again, you will not be able to collect until you've collected those from the previous loss. So those troops will be gone, will disappear permanently, basically. They will not show up under Revelry of Fire unless they changed how it works. They will not show up here. So they will not be eligible for resurrection. And that's a big deal because if you think about it, the resurrection you can get back 90%. So in theory, you only lose 10%. However, if you never collect from here, you will end up losing an additional 7%. So instead of losing just 10%, you lose 17%, which is essentially almost doubling your losses. So you always want to make sure you are on top of collecting these troops that go into this section. But in the midst of battle, it is very difficult to do. So when I'm doing these calculations, I assume that you are only able to collect half. Because even if you are on the top of your game, let's say you are always in this menu as I try to be myself, it is sometimes impossible to collect fast enough, especially if your enemy marches are all stacked together. So for example, when your march in the battle disorder, when a march hits you and you have multiple marches stacked on top of each other, that hit counts almost instantaneously. So if you have 10 marches, for example, and all 10 marches get crushed by the enemy, by one enemy march, you will maybe be able to collect like 2 or 3 rounds at best instead of 10. So the losses you'll suffer is tremendous. But anyways, in the calculation, I will count losses at 3.5%. So I'll assume that you are able to collect half of the troops that fall into this section. Now, let's take a look at the hospital training speed. And to exemplify what I mentioned earlier in that you always want to use the economic talent, take a look at how long it takes to resurrect 100,000 tier 13 troops. I need about 182 hours. If I switch to my economic talent, but before that, I guess we can take a look at my healing speed. My healing speed is right here at 543%. So a majority of it falls under technology. Now, let's try to switch up our talents from war to economic. It goes from about 500% to 1,037%. And this is a big deal. But unfortunately, this number actually has not increased very much since the past couple years or so. I recall hitting 1,000% very early on, and this number really has not changed much. Whenever you are activating the alliance skill, like all this does is that it increases your healing from 1,000% to 1,100%. So this skill, I think some people are kind of obsessed with this skill, and I don't really understand why, because it really doesn't increase your healing speed by much. But anyways, now my healing speed is at 1,000%. You can see the duration falls from 183 hours to 103 hours. And through this, we can kind of calculate how many minutes it will take to train one tier 13 troop at my current healing speed, which is what most people are at. So let me calculate that real quick. So 103 hours plus times 60 plus 30 minutes divided by, I hope I'm doing this right, by the way, 100,000. What am I doing? Let's just make this one. 99999. Let's see. I guess I can verify the answer. So the answer I got is like 3.7 seconds, which doesn't exactly sound right. Um, so yeah, let's train this first and see how long it takes. Yeah, 3.7 seconds. I guess I was approximately right. 3.726 seconds to heal one troop, one tier 13 troop. Now let's see how long it will take to train um, one tier 13 troop. Let's speed this up and let's put this at 35 seconds. Let's set this to 10. I think 30. I think it is approximately 35 seconds. However, what I want to do here is um, I want to use the real value at full tier 13. So you can see my research is kind of not there, not quite there yet. I'm at 7.2%, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But once I complete all these training speed nodes, I'm guessing I will increase my training speed by about 10%, I would say. Let me see, my current training speed is at where is it? My current training speed is at 511%. So I was missing about 7 point, let me see, 24 minus 7.2 times 3. I'm missing about 50%. So 50% plus the alliance skill is 80%, 80% to 511. That is like a 15% boost. So let's just assume that once I have maxed tier 13, it will take me about 30 seconds, 30 seconds to train one tier 13 troop. So there's still quite a big difference. Now let's go to the Hall of Valor, because if you are healing, then you are healing every single troop. But if you are overfilling your Valor, the losses is not all of your troops. Of course, you can revive 90% of them. But of course, you will lose a bit through the collection. So let's assume that you can revive 86.5%. So for every, so pretend now you are not healing any troops and you are just reviving them through the Hall of Valor. I mean, not through the Hall of Valor, but post hoc, you are training them back after they get overfilled and die in the Revelry of Fire. How does that compare? So let's say we have 1,000 troops. Maybe I should use like an Excel for that. And the reason why I want to revisit this topic is because about a few months ago, NXS and BBB had a huge clash in the battle disorder, and many accounts were zeroed not once, but twice over the course of a single battle disorder. And that resulted in hundreds of millions of power drops across many, many players. So if we start with about 1,000 troops, then the number that we will have to heal, of course, is 1,000. And the number that we have to train back is, so this number times 0. What is it? 0.135. So 135. Now the time it will take to heal or train these, we can use the numbers that we recorded earlier. So it takes 3.7 per troop, 3.726 seconds per troop to heal, and 30 seconds to train. So now I'm going to calculate the total. And I can probably just drag this. And this is honestly much closer than I'd expected. Much, much closer. Which makes me think there might be something wrong with my calculation. But then again, our training speed was not very high back then. When I did my first video, I think the training speed was only about 400% at best, maybe like high 300%. And back then, I concluded that the efficiency of overfilling your Valor was only about half that of, I mean, the efficiency of healing your troops back up after overfilling your Valor is only about half that of healing. So you are way, way better off healing your troops as opposed to, going the full YOLO way and completely overfilling your Valor, zeroing yourself, etc. However, I should say filling your Valor is still very, very efficient. So now let's take a look at the scenario where you fill your Valor. I hope you guys are following and this is kind of why I don't really, so for slightly more technical videos, I feel like it's better to have PowerPoint slides prepared ahead of time so I don't confuse myself while running down the numbers. But since we're here already, let's take a look at the scenario where you're just filling up your Valor. So when you are filling up your Valor, let me think what happens. So I think 70% of them go to your Valor. Is that right? When your hospital is full, the whole Valor will accommodate 70% of the dead. Um, yeah, so the 70% doesn't really matter, I think. 70% of the dead. Let me think whether that matters at all. So it really doesn't matter. Like 70%, like those troops. Okay, I think I understand what this is. So 70% means that um, you will be able to, so it means that 30% will go to the, um, will be instantly, I mean, sorry. It means that 30% will go directly into the revelry of fire. So I actually have to change up my earlier calculations a little bit. So 70% goes to Valor, and among those, 10%, I believe, can immediately be collected. I think that is the case. But let's see. So if 70% goes to the Hall of Valor and 30% uh, die, then you will have a scenario where it is so this number times 0.3, I mean 0.3 times um, 0.1, because you are only losing 10% of the 30%. Of course, counting the this is not counting the amount that you actually lose if you don't collect. But that is a little too complicated for this rundown, so I'm just going to ignore that. I don't have the mental capacity apparently to do slightly more complicated calculations together with commentary. So let's just go with what we have right now, 30, and boom. So yeah, the efficiency of filling your Valor is much, much higher compared to straight up healing. I know some people, they do not want any troops going into their Valor. They just heal, heal, heal until they run out of heals and then they stop fighting. But the efficiency of having your troops go into the Valor is very, very high, because until your Valor fills up, those troops can be collected back for free. Like right now, I can collect I mean, I can collect these troops, and they cost no healing, no speed ups, no resources, nothing. I can just collect them straight up. So once again, I still recommend filling your Valor before using your healing, unless you're just swimming in healing speed ups, like maybe over 50,000 healing speed ups. But yeah, I would fill my Hall of Valor first, and then I would start healing. And then once I run out of healing speed ups, you really have to make a choice. If you want to overflow, note that the efficiency is uh, lower than healing them, but not too much lower. I would say at best, like if we account for errors in my calculation, because now I realize I assume that all troops go directly to the Hall of Valor, but in actuality is 30%. So this number I believe is slightly higher than 4,050, but not too much higher. I would say maybe 4,700 at best. Uh, so yeah, especially with tier 13 training speed, um, it is it's become quite efficient to overflow your Valor. I mean, I wouldn't call it really that efficient, but it's become more efficient than before to overfill your Valor and train those troops back up. But really, you have to be careful because note that although you can collect a lot of speed ups, I mean, a lot of healing speed ups every day, like I still have 2,891. Like when this battle started, I had about 9,500, um, which was pretty much yesterday. I spent about 8,000 healing in one day, which is very common. You cannot collect that many general or training speed ups. So just be aware that once you are losing hundreds of thousands of troops, it's going to be pretty hard to train back up. So I guess even though the efficiency has gone up, the downside is that you cannot train troops with healing speed ups, and you cannot collect nearly as many general or troop training speed ups as you can healing speed ups daily through this gifting system, which is, I believe, what is um, really increasing the longevity of this game. Without like the gift gifting system, where people can collect upwards of 500 to like 700 healing speed ups every single day, we would not have this level of intensity in these clashes at all. Like people will not have nearly as many healing as they do right now. And I think that's a very good thing because not only is it increasing the overall profitability of the game, because of course you have to, buy the mini subscription in order to get double rewards. It's also, wait, what is this? Whatever. It's also it's also what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's also making the game much more fun compared to before. So I'm sure many people are interested in the current state of the battle disorder. Unfortunately, I do believe we are outmatched as an alliance. While we are Legion from server 135, it turned out much stronger than we had anticipated. And this kind of ended up being almost a 1v2 for us personally. Yeah, you can see that based on the overall merits. And I believe in a one-on-one versus NXS in the battle disorder, it is already very much a struggle. So in light of facing multiple enemies, I think we are forced to do a complete withdrawal here. As you can see, they currently control the middle. I do have some footage of the clash when they were about to reach the middle. So if anyone is interested in taking a look at that, please let me know in the comments and I'll post it potentially with commentary at some point. But anyways, this was all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope, oh, did I forget about the Arena of Legends? I certainly hope not. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this video and I will see everyone in my next video. Take care.